Once upon a time, in a small Igbo village nestled between rolling hills and green forest, there lived a beautiful young girl named Oloku. Her name meant house of wealth, and she truly was a blessing to her parents. By day, Oloku was known throughout the village as a kind-hearted and gentle child. She always helped her mother sweep the compound, fetch water from the stream without complaint, and carried firewood back from the forest. Everyone loved Oloku. The elders would call her good child, and whenever they saw her, they would give her small blessings like kola nuts or dried fish. Oloku's friends adored her too, always wanting to play games with her, knowing that she never got angry and was always fair. Her laughter rang through the village like the sweet song of birds, but Oloku had a secret, one so terrible that not even her family knew about it. As the moon rose high in the sky and the village fell quiet, Oloku would feel a strange and frightening change come over her. Her gentle heart would harden, her soft skin would turn rough like the bark of an ancient tree, and her teeth would grow sharp. Oloku, the sweet and kind girl of the day, would become a fearsome beast, a terrible creature whose only desire was to destroy. Every night, she would sneak out of her family's hut and roam the farmlands that surrounded the village. The farms were the lifeblood of the village, as they grew cassava, yam, maize, and cocoyam that fed the people. But in her monstrous form, Oloku did not care. She would tear through the crops with her claws, uprooting yams, trampling cassava, and scattering maize all over the ground. By dawn, the once lush fields would be ruined, and she would return home, exhausted, but once again in her human form. The farmers were bewildered, and the village began to worry. Each day, more and more farms were destroyed, and with the planting season approaching, the villagers feared there wouldn't be enough food to feed everyone. "Who is doing this to us?" they asked one another during meetings at the village square. "Which evil spirit has come to destroy our harvest?" The villagers sought answers from the dibia, the village healer and seer. He performed rituals and consulted the ancestors, but the mystery remained. "I cannot see the culprit," he would say, shaking his head. "But the spirits are restless." This is not the work of an ordinary person. They knew that if the destruction continued, there would be hunger and suffering in the village. After another night of devastation, the elders gathered under the large udara tree at the center of the village. The udara tree was sacred, and it was where important decisions were made. Elder Nwokoi, the oldest and wisest man in the village, "We must take action," another elder, Mama Obiajili, added. "We need to protect our crops and find out who is behind this wickedness." "Let us set a trap," suggested Chima, one of the young men in the village. "We will guard the farms at night," and the elders agreed, and a plan was made. That night, Chima and a few other strong men hid in the fields, armed with machetes and spears. They would wait for the culprit. But that night, Oloku sensed that something was different. As soon as she transformed into the beast, she could smell the presence of the men in the fields. She avoided the traps and the guards, sneaking through the farmlands in silence. By morning, she had destroyed another field, but she had not been caught. "This is not the work of a human being," Chima said, fear creeping into his voice. "It must be a spirit or an evil creature sent by a jealous neighbor." But one person in the village had begun to suspect the truth. It was Oloku's grandmother, Neka. Neka had noticed that her granddaughter always seemed unusually tired in the mornings, as if she had not slept well. And she remembered that Oloku had once fallen very ill when she was a small child. Neka had taken her to a dibia in a faraway village who had warned that Oloku had a special mark on her soul, a mark that connected her to the spirit world. One night, after Oloku had gone to bed, Neka stayed awake. She hid behind a large palm tree near their compound and waited. As the moon rose and the village fell silent, she saw it with her own eyes. Her beloved granddaughter, Oloku, crept out of the house, her body changing before Neka's very eyes. Her skin became rough, her limbs grew long and strong, and her face twisted into something unrecognizable, a beast with glowing red. Neka gasped in horror but remained hidden. She watched as the creature that had once been Oloku ran toward the fields. The next morning, Neka called Oloku's parents aside and told them what she had seen. They were shocked and heartbroken. How could their sweet, kind daughter be the one destroying the village's crops? We must do something before the village finds out, Oloku's father said. If they know, they will turn against her. She could be banished. They took Oloku to the dibia in secret. The old seer, with his white chalk markings on his face, stared deep into Oloku's eyes. He placed his hands on her head and chanted ancient words. Oloku is cursed. She was born with the mark of the beast spirit. At night, the spirit takes over her body and compels her to destroy. There is only one way to break the curse.